Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's just jump right into it. Today we have another video courtesy of Reddit. I know again, but this is a good one. So let's see what they have to say. All right, so the title of the thread is, I have A+, Net+, Sec+, but keep bombing technical interviews. What am I doing wrong? All right, so the thread goes on to say, I got my A+ back in September, then Network Plus in December, and just passed my security last month, thinking I was finally ready. I've been applying everywhere since I got my A+, but only started getting interviews recently. Here's what's killing me. I crushed their theory questions, OSI model, subnetting, DNS resolution, whatever, but throw a real-world scenario at me and I completely freeze. The last interview, the guy goes, user says an email isn't working, walk me through it, and I just blanked. I know SMTP backwards and forwards, but couldn't even think to ask if it's just one user or everybody. Another place asked about handling a security incident. I started going into incident response procedures for my Sec+ studies and they cut me off. No, tell me about something you've actually dealt with. Like, how am I supposed to have real world experience when I can't even get hired for help desk? He goes on to say, I've been at this for months now and starting to wonder if these certs are just expensive wall decorations. Everyone said the CompTIA Trifecta opens up doors, but apparently book knowledge means nothing if you can't think through actual problems. Is anyone else stuck like this? How do you actually prepare for scenario questions when you've never worked in IT before? So first and foremost, congratulations to this guy for not only getting the trifecta, the CompTIA Trifecta, but also landing an interview. I mean, it's pretty hard these days to get an interview. It sounds like the job that he's applying for, or like level 1 help desk roles, but still people can't get interviews with entry-level IT roles. So congratulations to them for accomplishing that. Now, the last question in this post is the one that I really want to dig into right now. It says, how do you prepare for scenario questions when you've never worked in IT before? I want to tell you this little story. I remember I was trying to land cybersecurity internships back in like 2021. I think it was obviously before I graduated. And I had an interview for a cybersecurity analyst role. And it was at I think it was like a small MSP or something like that. And I got to the interview and I just completely bombed it. They said, hey, how are you? Do you know this, that, and the third? And to be honest with you, I knew no technical questions. I knew no practical questions. I didn't know anything. And I just remember my fallback answer was like, hey, I know how to Google. I know how to Google and I can get the answer for you that way. Needless to say, that interview didn't go that well. I didn't land the analyst internship. I did get a sales role, kind of selling cybersecurity products for the MSP. That didn't last long because I couldn't sell anything, or I didn't even want to sell anything. But I guess the main part of that is, you really have to come prepared. And so how do you come prepared to interviews? Well, the first thing is know your stuff. I mean, this guy obviously knew his stuff, right? He knew everything frontwards, backwards when it came to the things that he studied on those certifications. But like he said, I mean, it kind of only goes so far. There adds another layer to it, especially when it's IT. It's not all about technical skills. I mean, you just have to know how to complete a task, right? And oftentimes that is looking at things a lot simpler than, what you've read like in a textbook or in your studies. So when I say know your stuff, obviously the technical aspect is there, but it's also like knowing the real world possibilities that could come from it. Obviously this guy was lacking that, but he didn't know that part of it. But when it comes to the real world applications of, the things that you're learning, the thing is like, you can just take it from like the world that you live in or what you've done in your life. Technology surrounds us on a day-to-day basis and we use it all the time. So if someone says, hey, I'm locked out of my password, or I'm locked out of my account, what's wrong here? The first thing that you think shouldn't be like, oh my gosh, someone's getting hacked. Like, be real with yourself. Sometimes people forget passwords. Some people store them in other places. Like, you have to sometimes take the technicality out of the things that you have learned when you apply it to real world situations and think like a person. So how do you blend that technical aspect with that real world thinking, right? Thinking like a human. Well, you get that from projects. If you don't know what projects to do, you can Google them. YouTube has a bunch of good projects when it comes to IT, cybersecurity, you name it. There's tons of walkthroughs. You kind of just pick your poison there. And then obviously you can also use AI, right? You use ChatGPT to say, hey, ChatGPT, give me a list of projects for this subject and category. It'll bang out some good projects for you. You can, and then it can also provide you with links, so have fun there. But basically what you want to do once you have these projects is go through it a couple times, right? So follow the instructions, run through it at least 2 times, and then do it by yourself. If you don't retain the information, you're going to have some troubles, and that's where the troubleshooting aspect comes in, right? So once you get out of that tutorial and start to do it for yourself, you'll start to run into problems. And then that's when you kind of build that methodology and that way of thinking, so that once you succeed, boom, now I have this experience, I have this project, and I have something to talk about. So when it comes to the interview, they say, hey, maybe give me a real world example. You probably may not be able to give an actual example because you don't have a job yet, but you can base that, or you can talk about that project, and talk about what you did, where you had issues with, how you troubleshoot through it, and boom, that should be enough for the employer to walk away smiling. So all in all, having the trifecta, it won't land you a job right out the gate. It will land you interviews, but if you're not prepared in that job interview, you will fail. So in addition to getting those certifications, you don't have to get all 3 of them like he did, but whatever you get, make sure that you do have some projects associated with it to not only put on your resume, but to also talk about, because you will be asked questions regarding real world scenarios and how you work through them and how you speak about them is what the interviewee is looking for. So just be prepared to have some projects and be prepared to talk about the projects, and then you should be good to go. At the end of the day, just don't overthink it. Just research the role, know what you're getting yourself into, and just be prepared. I mean, an IT interview, if you take away the technical questions, is no different than any other interview. They're just getting to know you. So it's important to have that technicality. It's important to have those real world experiences, but also be yourself. 9 times out of 10, if you can connect to them on another level, they will disregard half the things you do. As long as you show that your willingness to complete a task, or want the job, they'll be more than happy to take you. So just don't overthink it, have fun, and yeah. And if you like this video, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you.